podcast is going to be a little bit different. We encourage you to maybe go onto the YouTube channel and watch the video version of this podcast, is because we're going to be talking through a training that we've done to our high-level mastermind around self-actualization, and we've got some slides to share with you. So we'll still speak the content, you'll still get the total understanding of it, but for the full experience, you may want to watch this on video on our YouTube channel. So today's topic for the Evolve CEO podcast is actually the 4 key components to self-actualization. And we're just going to go through and talk to you. To start with, we actually want to talk about the Maslow hierarchy of needs, because the highest need and the highest of the Maslow hierarchy is actually self-actualization. But to achieve self-actualization, there are so many other levels that we need to have in order first before we can actualize ourselves and our true potential. So at the bottom of the Maslow hierarchy of needs is our basic human needs. These are our physiological needs. That is like air and water and food and shelter, sleep, clothing, and reproduction, so that we can continue on as a human species. And then above those physiological needs, we then have our safety needs. As we move into the modern era and the modern world, we want more safety and protection, employment. So we've got an income that supports our basic needs, resources, our own health, property, and the like. And then we move up again and we move into love and belonging. So friendship, intimacy, family, and a sense of connection. This is really, really critical. I believe this is an area where a lot of people are actually struggling. A lot of people are so busy, so stressed, spinning so many plates, trying to do so much, that they actually feel there is a massive lack of love and belonging. And if you don't have love and belonging in your life, you will not be able to self-actualize yourself. Is there anything you wanted to share on that, Trace?
The thing is, a lot of people won't even have that bottom tier, the physiological needs, met, because they'll have health issues, or they'll be stuck in that deep state of survival stress state. So when I'm stuck in that state, I can't even think about kind of that rewarding future. Yeah. I don't even have that connection in myself, and even love and belonging. And we're talking here about like a sense of connection. We're probably more relating it to external relationships, but all external relationships are really just a direct reflection of that one that I have with self.
Yeah, totally. So those physiological needs, those safety needs, the love and belonging needs, and then above that is esteem. And this is respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. Now, a lot of people, as Tracey said, they don't even have the basic physiological needs in order. So how can you have self-love, self-respect, and self-esteem if your health is suffering, if you have mental health, if you have anxiety, if you feel a bit depressed, if you're living in a constant state of stress and worry around the state of the world or finances and all that sort of stuff? It's extremely hard to have self-esteem and self-respect if you don't have those in order. So this is why Maslow hierarchy of needs is a global recognized structure. And at the top is self-actualization, which is our topic for today. And that is the desire to become the most that one can be. How do we do that? How do we become the one that most can be? Because for a lot of people, it's stressful to even think about all of the things that they need to do to be the best version of themselves. Yeah? And we get caught up in a lot of these traps and these cycles, and we're not being the best version of ourselves, even if we're trying really, really hard. So we are going to talk about self-actualization. Self-actualization is actually the realization of a person's full potential. That is what we're here for. We are here to reach our full potential, and we are a soul or a spiritual being having a human experience. So to reach our full potential, we actually need to be living in alignment with our soul's divine blueprint, or our soul gifts. Yeah. So our full potential is the essence of who we truly are, and it exists at the level of soul and spirit. And this is the level that Tracey works at with all of our clients. So maybe you just want to touch a little bit more on that.
It's like we have this template or blueprint about the truth of who we are, but we almost get stuck or locked out of it because we get so conditioned by the mind. And there's something called a soul vibration rate. And when someone's soul vibration rate is in the fourth dimensional level, it means they're vibrating at the same level as their mind, so that it's hard for them to tell what is a soul desire or what is an ego desire. It's hard to tell anything about yourself at that point. The mind holds so many fears and so many lies and so many conditioned parts that we've carried, throughout our life. And so that self-actualization, it sits higher than those things.
100%.
And, when we really come into that spiritual path, it's classed as the start of the fifth dimension. It's in alignment with our heart space. We realize that we're more than our mind, and we start to take more responsibility for everything that we create. And that is part of that self-actualization process.
This is really core to people understanding how to actualize themselves. Is what Tracey said is sometimes we don't know whether we're listening to intuition or ego. Now, the mind and the ego is very, very loud. It wants to control the situation. It wants to control the party. It wants to control you. And it's telling you all of these things that you need to do. It comes usually from a place of fear or lack or scarcity or being scared. So it pushes you to constantly try and do more, which drives the stress. Now, the intuition, the soul, your spiritual aspects, it's really, really quiet. So if you don't take time to have silent time and silent space and get out of your mind, most people aren't actually listening to their intuition. They think they are. They think they're intuitive, but it's just the ego over-talking the intuition. So just remember that. Ego's loud. Intuition's quiet. If you want to hear your intuition, you need silence. You need to be quiet. So now we're going to touch on the 4 key components to self-actualization. Now, the first one is healing. Healing is absolute paramount. The second one is manifestation. Tracey's going to talk to you about the truth of manifestation. Then we need achievement, and then we need fulfillment. So the first one is healing, and I'm going to hand this over to Tracey, and she's going to talk you through this because these are her gifts.
I'll just read what's there and then I'll talk because some people are just listening. It says healing is the most important part when it comes to self-actualization, as it strips away all false desires, false attainment, and incongruent values. And it gives us a clear path to manifest and create from a place of alignment. So, as I said before, it's like we get so conditioned by the mind and by our past. And half of it is kind of just, I want to say, fabricated lies. It's not even the truth of who we are. I don't know. It's not even like someone had to tell us that we weren't good enough. We do a good enough job of ourselves, of telling ourselves this. And we carry all these beliefs that really just hinder us, and they don't really, allow us to step into that place of who we are in our truth. So I don't know if you're familiar with, there's a term that's called the process of elimination. And that is what that healing process is about. It's about becoming aware or looking at all the parts of me or all the things that maybe I thought that I was or that I've carried for so long. If you listen to our other podcasts, we talk about the one about healing the mind, and we talk about how your subconscious, you literally take on all these beliefs. I think it's about the age of 7, isn't it, Greg, that it's fully kind of programmed with all of these things that we take on. And most of them weren't even really our own. So it's almost like we go through our life and we take on all these beliefs. A lot of times people aren't even living their own life. They're living the life that they kind of get told they should, or that would be right, or they almost have that guilt around, I know for me, I used to be very good at doing a lot of things that I didn't love and I hated. I was very good at just doing what I was told. And so the process of elimination is kind of starting to peel back all these layers. And it is through that healing process. It's through, dropping all of these beliefs and really tuning into who I am and what is right for me and how do I want to show up in my life? What do I actually want to create from the place of my truth and who I am? So, Greg talked before about how the ego, it's really loud. It will always tell us that we don't have enough, or maybe that we're not good enough, or that these desires that we want, I need this to feel better about myself. So a lot of people have these big plans, and they're trying to strive and obtain these things. And then as we get further on this training, you'll realize why then people show up to this place of achievement and they don't feel fulfilled or complete because it really wasn't in alignment. And, if we are trying to manifest from things that are incongruent, that actually aren't the truth of who we are, the ego desires those things, it will almost be like on this roundabout. Life will not feel like it's very easy for us. Once we start to live in alignment with who we are and we start to create from this place, it's like we go into this flow state, because it's just who I'm meant to be. It's what I'm meant to do in the world. And when I'm living in alignment, things just almost show up differently for me.
Beautiful. So that's a segue from healing into the second of the 4 key components of self-actualization, which is manifestation. Now, Tracey, take it away.
So this is the process of setting an intentional goal and creating this into the physical. The most powerful manifestation comes from when we are aligned to our purpose and our intrinsic needs and values. Once we have done the healing work, manifestation becomes more aligned and we powerfully create from our state. I've heard some stupid things said about manifestation. I've heard people having conversations about how a lot of people are teaching this now in the market. It's all just, you literally just, whatever you want, you put it out into the quantum and it will just appear. Like, it's not how it works, people. Literally, everything, yes, has to be created in the spiritual before it's brought into physicality. So, the spiritual and those aspects work via intention. So when anybody's ever wanted anything, it starts as a thought, right? And then we create it into an intention around a conscious, so it's like a direct focus of consciousness about what we want to create. And then how that works, especially in the healing work that I do, you have to remove everything that opposes it. Because you might say that I want this in my life, or this is who I want to be, or I want to create this new way of showing up. But you might have all these unconscious beliefs and all these programs running that oppose it. And they are almost louder than that intention, because a lot of people are running these beliefs about themselves, or they're running, all of these programs that they've carried for so long, and it's like so ingrained within them. So it's like you have to release all these things that oppose it, so that that new intention is louder. And it's through the healing process. And in this video, I talked about increasing somebody's soul vibration rate. Yeah, sorry. When we're living in alignment with the truth of who we are, we vibrate at this higher vibrational frequency level. And so like attracts like, it's just universal law, it's universal principles, how energy works. We will attract better quality things to us. And so if we're trying to manifest things that aren't in alignment, we'll almost be shown that they're out of alignment. And it will feel like it's a lot harder. And
we also have so many people that just go, but I don't know what my purpose is. And that's because they're trying to think their purpose into existence. You actually need to feel your purpose into existence. It's not something that the ego is just going to turn around. Like, we will attach ourselves and say, well, it's my purpose because it's my business and it gives me all of my basic needs and it makes me feel important and self-esteem. But usually that's the ego just telling us so that we can create our own kind of wealth and abundance. So definitely manifestation and alignment with purpose, but finding your purpose first, that's a big task, and it takes a lot of healing to be able to find your purpose. You need to break away all those constructs. You need to break away all those belief systems, all of the inner child programming about who you should be and what you're going to be like, and all your emotional attachments and suppression and so much of it. Yeah.
But if we want to create something new, as I said before, you've got to release all the old things that oppose it. Because some people will just think maybe they need more willpower to push through. But it's like there'll be all these programs that supersede it and are running in the background. And when we talked about healing before on the last page, healing the mind is so important. Like healing your neurological structures, reprogramming their amygdala to put different association to things. Because if I don't feel like it's safe to do something, I will not do it, because you saw that hierarchy of needs. I want to keep myself safe. I want to make sure that I survive. And if my brain, amygdala, puts reasoning to something that it's unsafe to even step into this place of my highest potential or do these things, I will procrastinate. That's where like self-sabotaging comes in. So people could say they want all these things in their life, but if they have all these things opposing it, honestly, it just becomes so much harder, because it's like I'm just constantly in my own way. So that's why healing and aligning is so important, because then I start to look at what I want, but it's not from a lack place. It's not from a mind telling me that I don't have enough, I'm not good enough. If I grab hold of these things, I'm going to feel significant, or it's going to make me feel better, which is not even the truth. And when I start to manifest in alignment with the truth and what I'm actually here to bring into the world, that is actually going to be from a benefit place, then that's when that flow state kicks in, because it's almost like I'm working in alignment with my highest levels of self and the most powerful levels of self that can manifest very, very easily. But there is other, I talked about before, you can't just there's two sides. A lot of spiritual people will also go, I'll just put it out in the ether. Or the quantum, and I'll just wait and it will come back to me. There is action that is required. And then you also have that other hustle and grind mentality that I think Greg's going to talk about soon, that people will set this, what they want in action and just don't stop until they get it. But maybe they haven't stopped to question if it's really the right thing that they're trying so hard to obtain for themselves.
Beautiful. So that's healing and manifestation. Now I'm going to talk about achievement, because a lot of people, especially high achievers and driven people, they can relate to this. So achievement is the outer measure of self-actualization, is an achievement where the goal or the intention becomes complete. So you've literally created it in the physical. And it is also the masculine side of this, as the masculine seeks the worldly measurable result. So the masculine is typically the mind, it's typically the ego. It is easily motivated and driven by results. It wants to see the achievement manifest in the physical. But we can get stuck in achievement and we can become out of balance. And so many people are stuck in the mind, are stuck in the masculine mind and the ego, chasing achievement for the sake of achievement without understanding the importance of healing and manifestation first. So many people have got great lives. They've achieved so much. They've got a good business. They've got money. They've got a good family, but they're unhappy. So what they do is they chase more achievement thinking it's going to make them happy, and it doesn't make them happy. It makes them more unhappy, because then they think, what is wrong with me? I'm doing everything that I know to do, which is, again, only based on the beliefs and the mindset and the programming of the mind, which is why we need to do the healing. We need to let go of it. And this constant chase of achievement, it actually stops us from manifesting and being self-actualized and finding our purpose, is because it actually is the reason why so many people are over energy in their mind, because they're achievement focused, okay? Because we're just so busy spinning the plates, trying to get so much done. Is there anything that you want to add on achievement?
I've seen people almost have this life plan and they've never deviated from it. And they're like, wow, I set this plan for achievement and then I got all these things that I said I wanted, but yet I don't feel complete now. I don't feel fulfilled. Like, what's missing? It's almost like we evolve and we change and we grow, and what we desire or what we want should almost evolve and grow with us. So also I see a lot of people that just do shift that goalpost again and again and again, and there's no end to it. And it becomes seriously draining and tiring when you don't have these other areas in balance with that self-actualization or creation process.
Now, I'm guilty of this. I fall into this trap all of the time because I'm that masculine external energy. I love achievement and I want to achieve, but I can also get caught up in the materialistic stuff and thinking that I need something new for that level of fulfillment. And that's not where fulfillment comes from. So we're going to move on to fulfillment now. So again, achievement is very much the masculine side of us, and fulfillment is the emotional reward felt through the attaining something that we authentically desired. So it's the feminine seeks a state of completeness. This is fulfillment. By tuning inwards and identifying our true needs, we can then select appropriate intentions and goals that are aligned. This then will bring fulfillment as well as achievement. Now, I know for a lot of my target market, the driven, successful businessmen, fulfillment does not come easily. The feminine side of themselves does not come easily. The masculine achieving is their innate. We need to balance these two. So if the masculine is very much in the mind, the feminine is very much in the heart. And it's about being happy and content and grateful. This is why gratitude is so, so important, to be grateful for what you have now, to live in the present, to be connected with your heart space, and to be more compassionate and empathetic and forgiving and loving and have joy, instead of constantly in your mind overthinking and worrying about what you want to achieve and what you want to do and need to do, and just driving yourself crazy. And this is why everybody, male and female, any gender, need to balance out their masculine and feminine, is because they are both so, so key to self-actualization. Now, as a female, do you want to touch on the fulfillment and the feminine side of things and why it's so, so important?
We're not meant to think our life, we're meant to feel it. And I also see a lot of people that, maybe it's business and they're trying to obtain something and they're really striving hard to create. And what they really wanted for their business for was maybe freedom, to offer them freedom. And yet they sacrifice the freedom to get it. And so then they think they'll work harder and at some point they'll kind of get this back, what they were looking for. And these things are already within us. It's like, that's why the healing process is so important, because you realize, when I've talked before about 95% of the world's population is stuck in that deep survival stress state. And when we're in this state, we'll always feel like we don't have enough. And this is what's wrong with the world as well, using so many resources. It makes me very sad that people are constantly thinking if they just have this next thing and this next thing, they will be fulfilled and they will be happy. But true fulfillment doesn't come from those external things. I'm not saying they're not nice to have. There's times that are nice to have in life, but it's like I've got to be complete first. It's like I can't just sacrifice freedom completely in the trying to obtain it. I would have to kind of bring more balance to my life to incorporate what I was really searching for, because it's actually not something physical. It's actually the energetic quality, and they're actually already in front of us. Like, as Greg said, an attitude of gratitude, being grateful for all the things, and then it almost compounds. It's like then I'm acknowledging these things. I'm sort of finding fulfillment and joy in the smallest areas of life, because believe me, it's there. But yes, I would say for a man, it is very, easy to get that over energy and that masculine in doing. Women, I think, innately kind of have that side where we do probably feel it's we share a lot more about how we're feeling. And so we're already in that almost feeling state of things more regularly.
Totally. But there has been a massive change over the years that a lot of females, especially going into female empowerment, they have become more masculine so that they can take action and they can achieve, and a lot of going back into work and climbing corporate ladders and building business. So it's relevant to both genders, right? Female and male. So now we're going to talk about the masculine and the feminine and self-actualization. And I'm going to dial you in, and this is why it's really important to be watching this on video. I'm going to dial you into understanding the kind of seasons and cycles that we all go in. So it's not about being this martyr and being absolutely perfect and you've done all the healing. Like, honestly, you can't do all the healing. You'll always be doing healing. It's not like you've done all the healing, you're in a manifestation machine and you balance between masculine and feminine. The world that we live in is quite chaotic and it throws us out of balance. So we just need to be a bit more mindful and a bit more present about where we're at. So this slide here talks about the masculine is the manifestation and achievement. The feminine is the healing and fulfillment. There's 4 seasons or cycles that we can get in any stage of life. And the first one is hustle and grind. And this is very much the achievement where I want to manifest something and I get stuck in this hustle and grind where I push and I work hard and I start to create and achieve. This is the action taking. It's really important. Then the next stage is structure and strategy, where you've done enough hustle and grind. You're using your masculine to get action and taking action and getting things done. And then you need to slow down and do a bit more structure and strategy so that it doesn't burn you out, so that you can put systems in place or just think a little bit differently about what you're doing so you can have more balance. Then as we drop down into the feminine and into the healing and fulfillment, there's rest and repair. It is so critical that we allocate time on a regular basis, regardless of how busy you are, to rest and repair. And so many people's minds are so stressed and so over energy that they're using phone and Netflix and screen time as a way to rest, but that doesn't repair. That actually causes more stress and conflict on the mind. So we need real rest and repair. We need silence. We need meditation. We need sleep. We need to be in nature. We need to do things that are good for us and completely disconnect to all the noise, pressure that is out there, even if it's 10 to 15 minutes a day. Because then the fourth one, which is where we really start to achieve our ultimate self-actualization and fulfillment, is trust and flow. And so many people struggle to actually access and live in this place of trust and flow because the mind will keep throwing them into hustle and grind. The mind wants to be busy. The mind doesn't like doing nothing. It doesn't believe in trust and flow. Trust and flow is when true manifestation. So if you've done the hustle and grind, you put the structure and strategy, you look after yourself, you rest and repair, you're actualizing yourself, you've got a lot of the Maslow hierarchy of needs in place, there is a time where you need to actually allow what you've put out into the spiritual to manifest in the physical. And we are very impatient human beings, that we need to understand that the thought and the intention has already created what you desire in the spiritual, but it takes time and patience and trust for it to show up in the physical.
Yeah, but in saying that, if you weren't aligned and you were kind of functioning from ego desires, you might be getting shown that it's not aligned and that manifestation just won't come through. So this is why this whole process of self-actualization has to incorporate that healing process to release all the things that aren't in alignment. So when I am creating my life, then it is in alignment and I can go into those places of trust and flow. Like, we're not saying recreate your whole life because, you know, we have clients that have these amazing lives on paper. They've got these great businesses, but they do this healing work and they just clear different things and they just realize maybe their priorities weren't in the right place, or maybe why they thought that they were doing this for is not really the right reason. And it's just almost like releasing some of these deep beliefs that have been holding them back. It's not like they've got to change the external as much. They just almost get this deeper fulfillment come in from the life that they've already created, where before that life looked like it just wasn't good enough.
And a lot of them start to allocate more time and energy and intention into the feminine aspects, into the healing and the fulfillment, the rest and repair and the trust and flow.
It's nice to see that, because a lifetime of hustle and grind, you know, especially that real kind of old school, the man just kind of has to get stuff done no matter what, feeling like it doesn't matter.
And now women are doing it.
True. Oh, everybody's doing it. I just see people just pushing themselves deeper and deeper into stress, into exhaustion, into burnout, and there just isn't this balance there. But if you've had a lifetime of that, this is all you've kind of been taught, or the only way you know, it takes time to really feel more comfortable in some of those other areas of that feminine.
So just to recap on self-actualization, healing and alignment are paramount to self-actualization. This is always the starting point. When you are in tune with who you are, our true needs and desires, we have the platform to create and manifest abundance for ourselves, which in turn moves us towards self-actualization. So the key is to life. This is the key to life. Therefore, the process of reassessing your whole life regularly, where you are at and where you want to go, is so important. So many people do not slow down enough to reassess their whole life. They might reassess their finances, they might reassess their business and think about structure and strategy and so forth there, but they don't reassess their whole life. They don't look at healing as the most important thing to be focusing on, their mental, physical, and spiritual health.
I'm sitting here having a giggle because I'm thinking somebody's going to be listening to this podcast and say, but I can just put it out in the quantum and I'm like a master manifester. And yeah, it's because that will be their gifts and that will be actually who they are at that soul level, and they will have gifts to do that. So don't get me wrong. There will be some people that is like their ultimate gifts and they can create in that way, but that's what they're designed to do. But I think sometimes we gauge ourselves on what everyone else is doing and we really don't tune into what is our authentic self, what is right for us, and be creating from that place, because we're all here to experience ourselves in that right way of who we actually are, rather than just modeling somebody else.
It's interesting you say that, because some people have crazy manifestation abilities, but they also they manifest and create abundance in one area of their life, but it can quite often create dysfunction in other areas of their life. So self-actualization is not about how wealthy you are or how fit you are or how in love you are. It's about every pillar of your life being elevated and balanced and continually evolving. Yeah.
I just even think that questioning process of self, by looking at your life and reassessing it all the time, it's like, why do I want this? Or, what does that represent? Because again, there's a lot of times what I want becomes slightly outdated. And yet a lot of people, as I said, they're kind of just marching to the beat of this drum that they've just created this life progression plan on success, and maybe their values or those beliefs are really outdated, and I need to reassess what's actually important, what's not, where am I giving energy to in my life, and what am I need to reassess. So we love doing that process, don't we? We do it like once a year, and I think I am doing different things each year. I change, and maybe I want it for a different reason, or, looking and maybe focusing on different pillars in my life at a time, just depending on what's going on.
So the process that Tracey's referring to, if you go into the show notes, there is a link there to a free copy of our 9 Pillars of Success, Love and Happiness Life Assessment Framework. And you can download this framework. There's actually a video to talk you through it. And it's a way to assess every area of your life so that you can identify the pillars of your life that you're going really well in and the pillars that you need to focus on. And if you want to actualize yourself and you want to move to the next level and look at certain levels of healing and alignment, you always need to look at your weakest pillar. We often ignore our weakest pillars in life because a lot of us have been programmed at a young age. Just focus on your strengths and everything will be okay. So we ignore our weaknesses. It's in evolving the weaknesses that we get the most transformation. So it's really good to assess your whole life, especially if you want to have a really fulfilling life, an abundant life, and you want to actualize yourself at the highest level. So thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully you really enjoyed that podcast. Again, the link is in the show notes if you want the life assessment, and we look forward to having you on next week's episode. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Evolve CEO podcast. If you value the information that is in our podcast, please like, subscribe, and add a review to our podcast page, because it'll help us understand the value that you are receiving, and more importantly, spread the word of this podcast. Also, share it with your friends and your family. Now, every listener of our podcast gets a free gift from us, and this is our 9 Pillars of Success, Love and Happiness Life Assessment. This is the exact same life assessment that our high-level clients, which are CEOs and business leaders, go through on an annual basis so that they can assess and reflect the past 12 months of their life and then plan their desired outcome for the next 12 months of their life. And this is our gift to you for listening in. So please follow the links below and you'll find the link to the assessment page. You'll also find Tracey and my social media links. We would love for you to connect with us on our social media channels. Follow our additional content on there, as we want to provide as much value as we can in the event of helping you create more success, love, and happiness in your life. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next episode.